Okay, folks, I think we're going to get started here. My name's David Gardner. I'm with the Des Moines Catholic Worker Community. Thank you for all for coming out today. On behalf of the American Friends Service Committee of Iowa, the Des Moines chapter of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, the Des Moines Catholic Worker, and the Strangers and Guests Catholic Worker, and all of our allies across Iowa and the nation, we are here today to strongly condemn the FBI's September 24th raids at the homes and offices of peace organizers and international solidarity activists in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Chicago, Illinois. During these raids last week, the FBI delivered subpoenas to 11 activists in 3 different states, accusing them of providing material support to foreign terrorist organizations and ordering them to testify before a grand jury in Chicago on Tuesday, October 5th. The FBI raids came in the wake of new revelations released last week by the Des Moines Register that the FBI spent hundreds of hours in 2008 spying on student and community organizations in Iowa City, Iowa. And it comes on the heels of a report released by the Inspector General of the Department of Justice that found between 2001 and 2006, the FBI opened criminal investigations against peace and justice organizations without cause, extended those investigations with weak factual evidence. At times, they violated their own policies, and they routinely mischaracterized civil disobedience as a domestic terrorist threat to national security. This is from the Department of Justice itself. As such, we consider the FBI's repression to not only threaten us, our communities, and the American people, we also view it as a threat against the peoples of the aforementioned countries who again are legitimately resisting U.S.-sponsored terrorism and oppression. This criminalization of dissent and militarization of society are the actions of a corporate police state and a wasteful and risky use of taxpayer dollars that could be better spent fulfilling unmet social needs here at home in our neighborhood communities.
The ACU of Iowa is very concerned about the stories that we are hearing about government surveillance of what is recognized by most to be very peaceful, nonviolent, civil disobedience organizations across America. The FBI is being misleading and dishonest in how it portrays things, and that there is indeed a widespread use of surveillance tactics and agents within the FBI in a way that without question does have a chilling effect on people attempting to exercise their constitutionally protected right to protest the actions of this government.
In the spring and summer of 2001, while FBI Special Agent Colleen Rowley in the Twin Cities was in vain trying to go up the chain of command to get the counterterrorism people to pay attention, she had found evidence of people preparing to fly planes into buildings, and they ignored her. We found out why they were ignoring her is the precedence was for the FBI counterterrorism squad at that time was investigating Catholic workers and other people who were demonstrating peacefully at Vandenberg Air Force Base against the Star Wars initiatives. This needs to be put in context. Lest we be seen as whining. There's a war going on. President Obama explaining why he supports the war in Afghanistan as he did not the war in Iraq was he said, I am not against all wars, I'm against stupid wars. Mr. Obama, they are all stupid wars.
Yeah!
And they are stupid wars that cannot survive open conversation. They cannot survive the kind of public debate that would happen if we were allowed to have it. If we had the information, if we could meet together and we can talk, these wars would be history. There are people, though, who are meeting clandestinely, who are meeting secretly, who have access to weapons of mass destruction, and who use them under the cover of darkness. There are people who are meeting together right now, conspiring against the liberties of the American people and putting our lives in jeopardy. But they are not us, and they are not our friends in Minneapolis or in Chicago. They are in the Pentagon. They are in the White House. there in the Justice Department. And what the FBI would rather have whispered in the dark corners, we are going to speak loud from the rooftops. Thank you.
So I can only assume that these actions are taken to diminish or terrify people into not speaking out, not engaging in acts of
U.S.
dissent.
power structure would much prefer that only their storyline be told about Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan. Only their storyline be told about the U.S. role in Colombia and Palestine. While the U.S. government is waging wars on the people of these lands, the government is at the same time, within our own country, waging war on the U.S. Constitution and on those who seek to live out its spirit, those among us, as Quakers say, who speak truth to power. We know this is not a new challenge. The American Friends Service Committee and many of you and your organizations have witnessed and resisted this kind of action in years past. The image of government excess and abuse come quickly to mind. The McCarthy era, the Civil Rights and Vietnam years, the Central America War's solidarity struggles remind us always of the efforts to silence the dissenters. How strange it is that the government of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, napalm and drone attacks would presume to decide for us who is and who is not a terrorist, would presume to tell us whom we may and may not provide food, books, medical supplies, and technical support for humanitarian and peaceful purposes. I affirm today that the American Friends Service Committee stands in solidarity with each of you here today and with the nonviolent liberation struggles across the globe. Let us remember and be emboldened by the wisdom of the one-time slave Frederick Douglass. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. Find out just what a people will submit to, and you have found out the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. Let us be clear to all who are listening, we will not submit. Thank you.
I'm Judy Lonning. I'm a member of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. Let's be clear. Friday's raids are an attack on anyone who speaks out or organizes against U.S. imperialism and U.S. militarism. Today, the capitalist economic crisis deepens and the war on terror has turned into a seemingly permanent billion-dollar boondoggle, vastly enriching defense and security corporations. It is a privilege to be here with all of you today as we stand together to claim our rights. Thank you.
My name is Jeffrey Weiss of the Catholic Peace Ministry. First of all, it cannot be said enough times that there is nothing in the life of Jesus of Nazareth that would justify F-16s, cluster bombs, a $700 billion Pentagon budget, or a permanent war economy. We did not listen to the warning of Eisenhower in his farewell address, nor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s caution that militarism could lead us to a spiritual death. In 2010, my brothers and sisters, militarism and patriotism have in fact become synonymous. Freedom itself is now a term in our society tied to mindless consumption and militarism. We have long forgotten the words of James Madison, who warned that a people cannot exist both ignorant and free. So in this environment today where spectacle triumphs over literacy, where bombings are airstrikes, where killing civilians is collateral damage, dissent is the highest form of patriotism.
We've got more important things to do. It's time to take our message directly to the FBI at their office in West Des Moines. I have a letter here that I'd like all of you to consider signing. We're going to go out to the FBI office in West Des Moines. We're going to be a lot more polite than they were to us when they kicked down our doors in Minneapolis and Chicago. But let me assure you that this time it is our turn to ask the questions. And let's get it on. Thanks.